No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Oh, boy. Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. This is our third show, debut show on the American Freedom Radio, Saturdays afternoons, 3 o'clock. If you've never heard the show before, check out OppermanReport.com. Okay, and at that website, we have a special archives, a special member section where we have exclusive content. You can become a member, and we have all kinds of exclusive shows that you don't hear live on the air. We got a really, really big show for you today. One of my favorite guests is George Christie. He's the former president of the Hells Angels Ventura County chapter. Now, you might recall, just recently, the History Channel had a TV show called Outlaw Chronicles Hells Angels, and that starred George Christie. Now, that series has ended, okay? But now he was just telling me yesterday on the phone that they're playing the show now all over the place in Egypt, Istanbul, all over the world, and it's the same show. It's just that every now and then they'll Photoshop in a camel. He'll be riding a camel instead of his motorcycle, but otherwise it's the same exact show. Also got a new book coming out. He's going to be telling us about his brand new book. Also, too, I'm going to ask him about the Satan's Angels, the connection to Charles Manson. He had some information about that. And also, he was just talking about how he was a spokesperson doing a commentary yesterday about those 3 escaped jail prisoners over there in California. And now I got some breaking news, too. There was a shootout in Denver, Colorado today. George, you there?
I am here. How are you?
Hey, dude, I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Okay, so why don't you start off? Tell us about yourself, a little bit about George Christie.
Well, 1966, I bought my first motorcycle. 1957 Harley Davidson for $200, which you couldn't get your oil changed in today's world for $200. But I bought a whole complete motorcycle, got it running, and started hanging out with the Question Marks, Satan Slaves, and Hells Angels. Ultimately, I was asked to become a member of the Hells Angels in Los Angeles, which I did in the late 70s. And after a few years in Los Angeles as the president, I moved up to Ventura, California in 1978, and remained president there until 2011 when I decided to step away for personal reasons.
Right. And you had a couple of brushes with the law as well, correct?
Well, I've had personally, several brushes with the law. Some I've been successful in, some not so successful. Which now, I'm a multiple felon. They certainly got me in the end. They chased me for 40 years, and they did finally get me, but they didn't get what they wanted. I wound up. The case started unraveling. The last case in 2011 started unraveling, and ultimately the judge suggested the U.S. attorney, make an offer of something reasonable, and at the advice of my lawyers, one of them being my oldest daughter. I took the deal, and I did 2 years on house arrest, and then I wound up going to Texas federal prison for a year. Now I'm home, and as you said, I recently had a very successful show on the History Channel. I've got a new book coming out in September. It's already on Amazon pre-sale. Exile on Front Street is the name of the book. So I've been real busy.
Yeah, tell me about it. A lot of guys, because how many years have you done in prison? It was quite a bit.
Well, not that far long. 5 years in all. I did 3 1-year stretches over a course of 30 years, and then I did 2 years on house arrest. So, they got 5 years out of my life, but, that's a pretty good run, 1966 to 2011.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you really can't complain. And now also, too,
No,
yeah. But, well, it's all relative. But now also...
And the judge told me that as well.
Yeah, well, the judge knows what he's talking about. Okay, listen, I got a guest coming on.
He's a smart guy.
George, I got a guest coming on later on in the show, Ramona, Africa, who was a part of that group MOVE in Philadelphia. Remember, they had that standoff with the police in Philadelphia, and they dropped that firebomb on the row house, and they burned 60 homes?
Right.
Okay.
How long ago was that?
That was in 86. Now,
yeah, I remember that when that happened. It reminded me, it seemed very similar to the Symbionese Liberation Army fiasco in Los Angeles.
Right, and
they cornered him in that house.
Yeah, well, she got 7 years, man. When she was escaping from there, they were shooting at her as she was coming out. She got 7 years. And 3 of her sisters, okay, that were in the previous house, because they were attacked in a previous house as well. These women got 33 years in prison. They've never lifted a gun. They never pointed a gun at anybody, but they were given 33 years in prison. They were in the basement of this home in water because they had the fire cannons going on, the water cannons, right? They were in this in a basement up to their neck in waters, holding babies over their heads. The cops could hear the babies crying, still shooting at them. And these women got 33 years in prison. There's a parole hearing coming up, so we're praying for them, and we're going to be sending letters to the parole board. So I have her coming on the last half hour. Now,
that sounds like she'll be an exciting guest. I'll tell you, one of the things I learned over the years that freedom doesn't come cheap. And if you want to get good representation, it's all about having the money to hire, the experts and the people that have expertise at that particular type of trial or defense. I have clients come to me all the time, and I have different attorneys, that are specialists in different things. And the people without money cannot get the same justice people can with the money. It's certainly one of the better judicial systems in the world, but it's not perfect, and that's one of the biggest flaws, that justice is not equal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you do now is you do that felonyprisonconsultant.com.
I do. I work with first-time offenders. I also analyze police reports for defense attorneys. I can read a police report, and a lot of these officers, not all of them, but a lot of them, they really embellish. And having dealt with these guys for so long and been involved in so many cases when I was in the club as the leader.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I lost the connection to American Freedom Radio, guys. Sorry about that. Damn. I don't know if I should call them. Okay. Well, we're waiting for boy or brother. Jeez, what a mess here. Okay, we're waiting for American Freedom Radio to call me back. we're waiting for American Freedom Radio to come. I have George Christie, okay, who's the author of the book. Exile on Front Street. Then we have Dave Miller calling in from Mexico, and we're going to be talking about that situation over there in oh, here we go. Okay, we got him back. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I lost the connection. Everyone there? Hello?
Yeah, we're trying to get your caller back. Hold on. Just go ahead.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. So then after we get George Christie back, and I really apologize about this mess, guys. I hit the wrong button on my keyboard. I had the keyboard on my lap, and I hit some kind of button on the top here, and I guess it shut everything down. But we got Dave Miller calling in from Mexico. He's a missionary down in Mexico, and he works with those people, the Hammond family, up in Burns, Oregon. So he's going to be telling us an update on the situation up there in Burns, Oregon. We're going to be discussing that. And also, too, the missionary work that he does down in Mexico right now. That's an interesting story in itself. So we're trying to get George Christie back on the line. George Christie, fascinating guy. Outlaw Chronicles on the History Channel. And also, too, he was talking about right before when we lost the connection due to my stumbling and fumbling around here. Hey, which is all my fault. He was telling us...
I'm back.
Yeah, George, sorry about that, my friend.
No, that's fine. You know, I was worried there. You know, they've been trying to silence me for years, and I thought they finally got to me.
Well, I'm the one that disappeared, man. I was worried about me. But, George, felonyprisonconsulting.com, okay? Now, I want to ask you a question, because you were telling me off the air yesterday about how these guys who escaped from that jail in California, right? That you were doing some commentary on that on TV, right?
Correct.
Now, what if those guys, or one of those or two of those guys, were your clients, right? And they're awaiting trial, they're in this jail in California, and then suddenly you find out they escaped. How would you advise them at that point?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, they made several mistakes, and I would have told them, and I always advise all my clients, running is the worst thing you can do. You know, not only affects you in this case, you know, that you're preparing to go to trial for, it creates just a whole atmosphere with the judge, law enforcement, and whatnot. And if you had any thoughts of trying to negotiate your way out of it, I don't mean as an informant, I just mean through a plea bargain, it's going to impact that. You know, I would tell them, you know, I used to tell the club members this, you know, when the warrants come out for you, you just go turn yourself in. You get a lower bail. It sets a better tone with the judge, and I would have advised these guys completely against it. And I'll tell you, one of the interesting things I heard was these guys escaped, and they're not quite clear on how much she was involved, but they used a teacher to sneak them in some local Google Maps so they, you know, could navigate the area when they got out of there. But I was told through a source that they went back to their old neighborhood where their gang was. The sheriffs had been raiding all the gang members' houses that were on probation, and the gang members told them to get the hell out of town or turn themselves in. And, you know, so they didn't have much assistance from, you know, their, you know, associate gang members. And I thought it was kind of interesting because it kind of puts a different spin on it. A lot of these street gangs now seem to be getting more sophisticated. You know, 10 years ago, if you would have broke out of jail and went back to your homeboys, you know, they would have fixed up with a car and money and got you out of town or gave you a place to hide. And, you know, these guys basically told them, turn yourself in or get the hell out of town because they were interfering in business. So I think that speaks volumes as to how the gangs, street gangs have progressed. You know, just in the last 10, 15 years since law enforcement's really been looking hard at.
Yeah,